Welcome back once again, friends. We have been building different kinds of encodings for our secret messages. So we are, starting with the message that we want to communicate. We are encoding it in different ways. We looked at the reversal. We looked at the, swapping even and odd. We looked at interchanging the two halves. We also looked at the word-wise reversal. Right now, the question that comes up is that all right, we are creating all these messages, but how is the other side, which is the intended recipient, supposed to decode this? Let's say your friend knows that I have done an even odd swap. Your friend should still have a way to decode these methods, right? Now, in fact, in general, this is true that any encryption must be must be, let's say, uh, completed with a meaningful decryption, right? So the receiver should not only know what has been done, so what kind of thing has happened, but you should also know should I do to undo this, right? So that's very important, because some of these schemes later on in real world actually are pretty complicated, and these algorithms can become quite involved. But here we are going to keep it quite simple as always. We have created four different kinds of encodings. Let us see how does an intended receiver receive them or say decode them. It's in fact very interesting here that all the four encodings that we have created are sort of self decoding. And what do I mean by that? Let's look at them one by one, right? The first one that we created was to say swap the even and odd. So for example, Python school became Wipnoi Soklo. The best part or the beautiful part here is that let's say my receiver again had this function to swap once again an even and odd. I'll in fact end up in the right string. So what that means is that the same function called once again will give me back the string that I had started with, which means that my receiver can, once he knows that this encoding has been implemented, he or she can just run this particular encoding and once again on the message that's been received, and you will see that the clear text or the original message will come through clearly, right? And we can see that right away. Remember, x even odd was my message. Let's say I say x even odd decode is given by even odd swap swap, say in this case x even odd. If I did this and I let's say I ran this, then I can just print here x even odd, say even odd decode, right? And indeed it is Python school. So what happened is that two times of swapping brought it back to the original value, right? Let's see the next one, which is reverse. Now reverse, obviously if I do it two reversals, is going to become exactly what it was. Reversal had just taken this p over to the end, but obviously if my other side just reverses it once again, then I'll get the coded message, and I can see that here. So xrev is available to me. So if I say xrev, okay, so this is say xrev. Okay, so I need to just run this again. If I run this, so xrev is this. Now if I just say reverse of say xrev, I'm going to get Python school, which is expected because I reverse twice, I'll get back the same thing. Third one we looked at is word-wise reverse. Now interestingly, this is also the same as doing it once again. So if I reverse it word-wise, I basically, every word got inverted, so I just have to do it again so that every word once again gets reversed. And for example here it's called rev word. So I'm going to just say rev. So let's say reverse word, say decode. No, actually I just need to do reverse word, and I can just say x rev word, right? If I did this, it again comes back to Python school. And it's not a surprise because remember x rev word was notip c look, but then now it's become Python school because every word got reversed. And finally, I have done, the swap of the middle. So is school part came before, Python part went later. But obviously, again, if I just swap them once again, they should become exactly so, the original string. So if I have this x swap middle is school Python, but if I just swap this again, right? So if I take this and I say swap, say middle, and if I did this again, I'm going to end up with the original string Python school, and this should not surprise us because we just swapped it twice. The bigger point, however, is that whenever we are doing an encoding, we have to think of the decoding. Now, all the encodings here were carefully chosen so that the same function could decode it. This is in general not true. You have to do more work sometimes to decode, or you have to do something different to decode. What that means is that if you are creating a more fancy encoding, think also of the decoding and try to encode it, because only when you encode and decode and you get the same output, then you know that everything has happened correctly. So the point here is that sometimes decoding can be hard, sometimes it can be easy. I do not know, but it can be different. Most likely it will be different if you do anything fancy. So whenever you are doing some encoding, always think of how the receiver, the intended receiver who knows what has been done, will decode this. Uh, this is interesting problem. A lots of extensions are possible here, right? So do explore and do try to learn more by yourself. Try in code, but be systematic, because this can get quite difficult quite easy, quite fast, right? So but if you're systematic, you'll get this much more easily. Take care. Thank you so much and enjoy this whole process.